My wide receiver ranking has begun, and today we're going to be looking at the best of the best. I have watched film on 7 of the top receivers in the game, and I will get to plenty of other receivers in future videos, but the 7 we're going to be looking at today are AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Davante Adams. CeeDee Lamb is going to be 7th of the 7. He's got a wiry frame, movement is very silky, very polished. His tempo and body control is excellent. I think this play I'm showing displays this very well. You see here the way he pushes off and drops. This is one of many examples where he displays his IQ as a receiver. Here you can really see the nuance on how to set his defender up. Here's my issue with CeeDee Lamb when comparing him to the best receivers in the NFL. I think a large proportion of his production comes down to him being in an excellent offense. Say what you want about the Cowboys and their lack of success in the playoffs. The offense is generally one that works very, very well. And it's also one that's built around his skill set. Now, it's built around his skill set for a reason, and I've laid down the reasons I think he works and why he is a very good receiver. But if he was in a system where he had to get it on his own, create space all the time on his own, I think he would struggle. Now, on a more positive note, like I'm saying, he works incredibly well for the Cowboys. His nuance as a route runner allows the offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, to trust him to run the routes that he wants him to run in the right way. He has great chemistry with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott knows how to put the ball on time where CeeDee Lamb wants it. But now I'm showing some examples of what I think the reality of him as a receiver is. Best receivers in the league don't get clamped down like this. They're too explosive, they're too elusive. And even as a route runner, I think the thing that CeeDee Lamb is missing, compete with the guys ahead of him, is the real elusiveness to his step. He's very smooth, but he's not got that short area quickness. So CeeDee Lamb comes in here at 7, as we move on towards one of the greatest receivers of all time, but one who in my opinion is starting to lose a step. Davante Adams is an extremely reliable wide receiver 1 for your team. What I was saying about CeeDee Lamb being smart and knowing how to get open, Davante Adams is that, but more. He's extremely nuanced, he has great hands, he's got a thicker frame than CeeDee Lamb to bring the ball in. You can see that he doesn't have the explosiveness to get it open deep, but he never really did. His offense obviously wasn't at its best last season, and I don't think he was being used in the best way. The thing is about Davante Adams is that I watched him last year, and that quickness that I was talking about, the short area quickness, he had that, which is what made him so elusive, whereas now you're seeing the better DBs in the league be able to cover him, clamp him down at times. I just think he's lost a bit of juice. So Davante Adams comes in at number 6 as he is overtaken by a young superstar. Obviously Ja'Marr Chase is very explosive, he's very dynamic, his situation has been perfect. Because what I would say with Ja'Marr Chase is that if you have other receivers who taken away the attention of the DBs, leaving space for Ja'Marr Chase to work with, if you have a quarterback who can put the ball on the money all over the field, there might only be one receiver you want instead of Ja'Marr Chase in that situation. Because if there is space to work with, he's so sharp, he's so dangerous with the ball in his hands, he's just a weapon. Now we're actually going back to a similar thing to CeeDee Lamb, but in a different way. They're obviously very different types of players. But again, I think if you put Ja'Marr Chase on a team where him and his quarterback are the offense, the way that Davante Adams was with Aaron Rodgers when they were both in their prime, I actually don't think he works so well, especially if he doesn't have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. If he didn't have the space to work with, I don't think he has quite the route running nuance, the change of direction ability, the flexibility to run the complex routes that you need to when getting open, the way that Justin Jefferson does for the Vikings, just to put an example out there. So he slots in at 5. He is the big name amongst the young up-and-coming receivers, but I think there's someone who's going to have a bit of a say about that we're not seeing yet. Garrett Wilson is the complete opposite to Ja'Marr Chase. Drafted to arguably the worst situation he could have been. He's had a million different quarterbacks in his career so far, none of which have been of a starting caliber. He doesn't have the explosiveness or the speed of Ja'Marr Chase, but what he does have is something that Ja'Marr Chase doesn't. Truly elite elusiveness and route running. Unfortunately, these clips don't show you what I'm talking about as blatantly as I would like, because in a situation like the Jets, The focus isn't to get the most out of Garrett Wilson, it's just to find a way of finding production. But if Aaron Rodgers is just competent next year, we are going to see the new Davante Adams. We're going to see Davante Adams in his prime. He is much skinnier, and you're not going to want to put him in situations where he has to make contested catches, but he does have great hands. He's very reliable, and whenever he's given a fair opportunity, he gets open. This is the next superstar. But now we get into the guys who run the league. AJ Brown is a bully. He's too big, he's too strong. He's not only dominant at the catch point, but through his routes, pushing defenders off and striking them with his genuine route running ability. I'm not sure we've ever seen someone like this. Someone who is built like a bodybuilder, but is also one of the better route runners in the league. The only comparable is DK Metcalf, but he is not the route runner that AJ Brown is. The Eagles have always over-relied on the deep ball to him, but you can understand why that has happened. Speed to stretch the field and dominance at the catch point. So AJ Brown cracks the top 3, but there was only ever really 2 players in contention for the number 1 spot. Justin Jefferson was hurt for a large proportion of the year. I'm showing you the very last game of the season to try and show you the healthiest version of him. He is the best route runner in the game. It's a new level of fluid, it's a new level of being a technician, knowing how to run the routes and having the flexibility to run those routes better than anyone. He's got speed to stretch the field, and he's got a big frame for the quarterback to aim for. Similar to what I was saying about Garrett Wilson, he can be the receiver for his quarterback. He can be the guy that the quarterback looks up and he's the first read every time. He's less of a weapon than the guy we're about to talk about at 1, but you could certainly argue he's open more consistently. This is very much 1A, 1B between him and number 1, but there is a man breaking the league. I had Justin Jefferson as my number 1 receiver last year, but just watching Tyreek this year, I just don't think there's any way you can stop him. This isn't exactly going to be advanced analysis. He's just too much, too fast, too nifty. You can't get your hands on him. Okay, he's not a technician of a route runner, but who cares? His hands aren't great. He'll drop a couple of frustrating balls, but he changes the dynamics of the game. He's the type of receiver who you could understand getting the MVP award and legitimately being a player with quarterback value, because when he's on your team, you have a chance because you put the ball in his hands and he'll make something happen. And even if you don't have an elite quarterback, he'll be open for you over and over again because he's too explosive. We may never see anything like it again. A truly unique and historic player. So this is the ranking so far. Tell me where I went wrong. I'll be getting to the next group of guys soon. I'm thinking Jalen Waddle, I'm thinking Stephon Diggs, Devontae Smith, Mike Evans, DJ Moore. These guys could all be in contention for these 7 spots here. So keep an eye out for that. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.